So about 20 minutes ago, I got out of John Wick 3, checked my phone, and saw that Robert Pattinson is very close to closing the deal to be our new Batman. I'm pretty sure you guys have a lot of thoughts on it. I've got a lot of thoughts on it. So before I share my thoughts, go ahead and tell me down below in the comment section, what do you think about Edward Cullen from Twilight himself being cast as our new Batman? I'd love to hear your take on it. Let's try and keep it a little bit civil down in there because I'm sure there's a lot of very strong opinions. I'm shooting this directly into my phone, one take. I just wanted to get my thoughts out as quick as possible. So I haven't thought through a whole bunch of this. I just wanted to start talking about. So these are my raw, instinctive thoughts on it. First one, if you're getting all too worked up about the Twilight stuff, he's done a lot of stuff other than that. It's funny to think that perhaps the sparkly vampire from Twilight is going to be our new Batman, but beyond the giggly stuff about it, he's an actor. He took a job 10 years ago when he was fresh out of high school, made millions of dollars, became a movie star. If you wouldn't have taken the job, you're kind of a fool because it set him up for life. So all the Twilight stuff, I don't hold it against him. It would be funny if this is the way it plays out. It's really funny to think Edward Cullen in the mask. But beyond that, he's had a career since then, which leads to part two, that he's not a bad actor. Like, by any estimation, this is a guy that actually can act. He's been in a bunch of other stuff that's actually quite good, and some of it's good or he's good in it. He has a resume beyond sparkly teen romance melodrama. He's done more than that. And so if you check that other stuff out, you'll see this guy can go brooding, he can go dark, he can go to very multi-layered type stuff that makes sense for a Bruce Wayne type. It's not the craziest thing out there to think that he could be in this type of role in light of some of the other stuff that he's done over the years. Third thought I've got on this one is that I don't like it when they get people that are so tied to some other big franchise and then cast them in an iconic role. Certain roles, not just big franchises, but certain roles, certain characters transcend the decades. And certain actors are so tied to other franchises that it also transcends the decade. And I don't really like when someone has you partner these two things up. I just don't think it works the best. I think our best examples of these are when you think like Christopher Reeves as Superman. That's his big franchise thing that he's done. When you tie him to so many iconic characters, it just gets kind of weird for me. I don't like it when they do that. And so if you'd ask, like whenever people ask me, hey, do you want Tom Hardy to be the new Wolverine? No. 10 years ago? Sure. Before I recognized him as Mad Max, as Bane, and all these other roles, sure. But I don't want someone so recognizable to other roles to be Wolverine, and I don't want Edward Cullen as Batman. I just don't want them to do that. I don't like it when we look at the A-list to cast A-list characters. There's all these other great actors that can be discovered, and we can bring them up to the A-list. When Hugh Jackman was cast as Wolverine, not an A-lister. When Chris Hemsworth was cast as Thor, was not on the A-list. Like, these were people that maybe you knew who they were, and Chris Evans maybe was kind of an exception, but he wasn't. It's not like his Human Torch was like iconic or anything like that. He was a guy that didn't have an iconic role to him and cast him in the role. Robert Downey Jr. had been around for a long time, but he wasn't tied to a specific franchise, so you can just think about them in these big iconic roles. But you think Edward Cullen when you think of Robert Pattinson. So I'm not crazy about that. Not a question of his acting ability, even a question of his ability to brood and be the darkness of Bruce Wayne. And then fourth big thing that comes to mind for me is that he's a skinny guy. And that bugs me with a character like Batman. It's not Superman where his powers come from the sun and it's alien stuff. No, the reason that Batman is able to win in fights is because he's a big, thick brawler. And I've never seen a picture of Robert Pattinson where he doesn't look gaunt, where he doesn't look super skinny. And so I hear that and I go, man, I just don't know. I just do not know about casting someone of that size to be a character that's well, like, you know, this thick guy. And when they cast Ben Affleck, certainly had the franchise issues. I had franchise, he's too big of a name to be Batman. And that was frustrating for me, but he's at least a guy that's a lot bigger than me. Like Ben Affleck is like 3 inches taller than me and has about, 20, 25 pounds on me. So I go, okay, I can believe that Batman can beat me up. Robert Pattinson, I think he's roughly around my height and 40 pounds lighter than me. And I don't think Batman, a guy 40 pounds lighter than me. Of course he can hit the gym. Of course he can start lifting weights. But unless there's something I don't know, if you're starting at like 160, you cannot get to over 200 pounds in a short period of time. It's physically impossible to put that much muscle on in a short period of time. It is like, I used to weigh a lot less than I weigh right now. It took me a very long time to get to my current weight. And so you just, you just go to the gym, we'll just get on steroids. Yeah, you can get up to like 180 and look great at 180, but that's still not nowhere close to this or what you think of when you think of Batman. So that stuff bugs me with a character specifically like this that needs to be a thick guy, and then you cast a guy that genetically, by his nature, is very slender. That has me quite worried. So, in general, those are my big kind of 4 immediate thoughts that came to mind. If I were to kind of tie it all together, I don't totally hate it. My biggest issue probably is the weight thing. That, and that's, maybe he'll blow our minds and do some wild transformation that people will point out, oh, Christian Bale lost a bazillion pounds for the machines. Yeah, but Christian Bale was muscular before it. He was already like an athletic 6 foot tall before he dropped the weight. So it's easier to get back up to where you were before if you cut the weight, as opposed to if you are just not a muscular person, if you're just a skinny person, that's a lot more difficult to do. And that's probably the biggest concern that I have. He can act, he can be brooding, but am I going to see a skinny Edward Cullen in the Bat mask? I am not crazy about that plan right now. I wish that we were talking about names that I didn't associate with something else. So I don't hate it. Maybe he'll be great. I'll certainly be frustrated if he's like a 175 pound 6'1" dude looking like an underwear model in the bat suit. Like, that's not what I think with Batman. These are my instinctive, just right off the cuff thoughts. Share yours down below. If you enjoyed this little video, check out that one right over there where I talk about the DCEU and all my different rankings of all that fun stuff. Thank you so much for watching, and keep talking movies too much.